I've purchased and subsequently neglected more action cameras than I care to admit. I always eventually end up selling them, getting rid of them, returning them when I realize that I just don't use them enough, they just don't fit into my workflow. GoPros, an Insta360 camera, and now the DJI Osmo Nano. And here's the thing, the Nano is genuinely the best action camera that I've ever tried, and I still kinda hate using it. The white whale in my personal pursuit of camera gear minimalism has always been the action camera that doesn't get in the way. The small, stupid, easy B-roll camera that lives in my bag or my pocket or whatever. You might reasonably point out that I can get incredible footage and a great user experience out of my digital hybrid mirrorless cameras that I already own. So why would I bother with something like this? And the answer is gear acquisition syndrome. The answer is, sometimes you want something that simply disappears into your day, not a full entire other camera that you have to carry around with you. So yeah, I've long dreamt of the tiny pocketable camera that allows me to get the footage that I want for videos here on YouTube while I'm out shooting that doesn't require me to pack like a whole bag of gear. But as it turns out, from testing the Osmo Nano the last couple of months, you can either have fantastic ergonomics and amazing video quality or a camera the size of your thumb. And look, just to be clear, I'm not trying to drag DJI or the Osmo Nano through the mud. That's not my intention at all. I'm placing all of the blame squarely on myself and my own expectations here. To its credit, and to be fair to DJI, the Osmo Nano isn't really marketed as anything other than a POV action camera, something that you stick to your chest or mount to your handlebars or mount to your helmet and capture what you see as you're, I don't know, mountain biking down a hill or snowboarding, or in my case, taking photos of random strangers on the street. So judging it to be a tiny B-roll camera in my workflow is kind of like judging a goldfish by its ability to climb a tree. So let's focus on the good stuff first, because I'm not trying to make some kind of DJI hit piece here. The one place that the Nano has excelled and exceeded my expectations, really stood out for me, is unsurprisingly, POV footage. You know, action camera. Mounted to my chest using the little pendant necklace thing. It's unobtrusive, it's basically invisible to the general public around you, and the stabilization counters my, walking motion perfectly. I get really smooth, great looking footage. As a body camera or mounted to something static, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. That part works. Here's the thing though, as much as I try to be a minimalist when it comes to camera gear, I think that there's a point where gear minimalism actually goes too far and the law of diminishing returns kicks in. Sometimes what you gain by traveling ultralight fails to outweigh the ways in which your ergonomics, your footage, your UX are compromised as a result of not having the bigger, better gear. For me, what I've realized since owning the Nano and testing it out is that trying to use two cameras at once just sucks. It doesn't matter if one is a minuscule action camera or not. The video quality out of the Nano is really impressive, at least for its size, and with the assumption that you're working in bright daylight conditions. But that doesn't help me if the camera itself is kind of miserable to handle. And miserable is a strong word here, but it really has felt like a lot of friction for a camera that was kind of meant to reduce friction in my workflow, in my everyday life. So my big problem with the Nano, and the part that again is squarely on me and my own expectations, is just simply that the moment I try to use it as something other than a POV action camera, more as a creative tool, that's when the wheels really fall off. It just feels gimmicky, I can get some really cool angles here and there. It's small enough to go where my other gear can't. It's magnetic, so you can stick it to stuff. But I get bored with it really fast, and I wind up just wishing that I could actually clearly see what it is that I'm shooting. The Osmo's tiny screen is very, very difficult to see, especially if you're using the D-Log profile. D-Log is excellent for editing and grading in post, but it also washes out the colors, removes the contrast from your preview image on the screen, and this is also the one DJI action camera that doesn't have a color display assist option like you would find to help mitigate that, help add contrast and color back into your preview image while you record in D-Log. The angle of the screen below the camera just is never quite right unless you're holding it directly in front of your face, kind of at eye level like this, what I find myself doing a lot of the time is detaching the camera module and kind of like watching the screen, composing with my right hand, and you're back to a two-handed workflow again. And when it's sunny and you're battling even the tiniest glare, good luck seeing anything on this screen. Not to mention, there's just not a lot of good ways to hold it. I will say if you're planning to vlog with it, that works pretty well. You can flip the screen around so it's facing the front and you can see yourself as you're holding the camera. It's chunky, it's easy to hang on to. But aside from vlogging or having, the camera stuck to your chest, I feel like I'm always gonna drop this thing. I'm always worried about it. It's like hanging on to a bar of soap. If I have a camera in one hand and I'm filming with this, it's really just like, I'm like, do I kind of do one of these? Do I hold it from the side? I'm always smudging the lens. I'm always having to clean it with my shirt. I'm always bumping, the touch screen on the back, switching settings. Almost every time I've been out with this camera, I have somehow managed to switch into a different shooting mode. And yeah, it's always a little frustrating to realize that you shot the last 5 clips in night mode or whatever. I would go so far as to say that the menus are clunky and difficult and finicky to manage, even when you're kind of sitting inside, standing still, being really intentional about it. But when you're on the move, trying to adjust something on the fly, it's even harder. I really liked the screen design on paper. I liked the idea that you could, remove the body from the camera module and it would allow you to do all these different things. Stick the camera to a railing or a light pole like this and then be able to check the view. I think there are some things that it does really well, but a lot of the time I just feel like I'm gonna drop it on the ground. The lens also zooms no tighter than about 15mm, which means that you have to get very, very close to anything that you want to be even remotely dominant in the frame. It feels like working with an iPhone that is permanently stuck in the ultra wide mode. And I know this might be a taste thing, but 15mm just isn't always the creative tool that I want to be stuck with. And back to the screen, with it being so small, it's just so difficult to tell if your composition is working, what's in frame and what isn't. And being stuck with 15mm at the tightest end just contributes to that by making everything on the already tiny screen appear even smaller. The one big redeeming feature is that when it is mounted to my chest, I can use the screen to see what the camera's seeing. I don't have to guess and check like I used to with my GoPro, which was stuck with just the screen on the back. That's a huge improvement. I will give them some bonus points, some credit there for sure. And the battery life again has been very impressive for its size, for the form factor, but that seems to be kind of the general consensus for this camera. It's good for the size, it's good for its category, its class, its form factor. But the battery is genuinely workable. It's much better than the Insta360 Go, which I tested and only got about 10 or 15 minutes of shooting, clips here and there with. This camera, instead, I can usually get about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more out of one charge if I have the camera module by itself. I find that to be just barely enough. I'm always kind of thinking about the battery and rationing the battery life, but it does get the job done. And the screen module that also acts as a battery does have the ability to recharge the camera module about 1.5, maybe 2 times. So all said and done, if you're out shooting for a couple of hours and you want to grab some clips here and there, or even some longer 10-15 minute walking shots, it's workable, it gets the job done. But yeah, if you're out all day expecting this thing to last hours and hours and hours, it just won't. You're gonna be done by lunchtime. So yeah, if I had to sum up all of my thoughts on the Osmo Nano into one sentence, I would say it's great for its size, but I'm just struggling to love it as a creative tool. DJI has made a great product here. A great action camera for mounting to things, capturing POV footage. When I say in this case that less is not always more, I'm more referring to my workflow and how I had hoped to use the camera initially. If you're watching this video looking for the smallest possible action camera that gets really, really solid footage and is easy to use and has pretty workable battery life, I can recommend the Nano to you all day long. It's a great compact action camera, but it has struggled in pretty much every other application that I've tried it in, and for that reason, I just can't give it the glowing recommendation I had hoped to. That said, I think it still does have a very real place in my workflow. I still do want to create POV footage and capture what I'm seeing as I'm out working. I might just relegate it to that instead of trying to make it be more than it is, more than it's really even trying to be or marketed to be, in all fairness, again, to DJI. Yeah, I think I've learned my lesson. Sometimes less is not always more. Sometimes less is just less, and it comes down to what you want out of the camera and your specific needs, your specific creative workflow, as do, you know, most things in the photography camera gear world. So let me know, what do you think? Are you shopping this camera? Do you own one already? You know, what has your experience been with it if you've had a chance to try it out? Let me know. Love to hear from you guys. As always, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if this video was enjoyable, if it helped you out, and I will talk to you very, very soon in the next one.